Episode of the live interviews. May is NF Awareness Month, and all month long, Neurofibromatosis Network, along with the NF Hope Concerts, are raising awareness for neurofibromatosis. To start off this incredible month of activities, we presented the NF Hope Concert Livestream, the second edition, featuring an amazing lineup of Broadway talent, from stars all the way down to people that you need to know now because they will be stars one day very soon. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that concert in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about how you can help during NF Awareness Month. Our event site, nfhopelive21.givesmart.com, that's nfhopelive21.givesmart.com, is the place to be to make a difference right now. Not only can you continue to make bids on our auction that closes tomorrow, that features amazing vacation packages, virtual private concerts with some amazing performers, tickets to the NF Hope concerts in Las Vegas, Chicago, and New York next year, but also your own custom private painted portrait. These are amazing items, and they're just a touch of what you can get when you go visit nfhopelive21.givesmart.com. While you're there, you can also take a look at a really cool contest that we have going during NF Awareness Month. We've invited young Broadway hopefuls to submit video performances that can be voted on. Now, every vote for one of these contestants is $2 raised towards the cause. If you like a contestant a lot, throw $20 at them and give them 10 votes. If you want to vote for everybody, do that as well. All of this will go not only to picking our winner, but also supporting NF Network, and this month, a very special secondary organization. The NF Hope concerts have been made possible for the last 10 years. 10 years, amazing, right? But for the last 10 years, they have been made possible because of the generosity of performers that have given their time and talent from across the country. As a way of giving back to this group of people and the entire entertainment industry, we are giving a portion of the proceeds to the Actors Fund. So everything you do, from making a contribution on our event site, to bidding on auction items, to voting for your favorite NF Hope Future Broadway Stars Contest contestant, all of that will go not only to help NF Network and this important cause, but also supporting the Actors Fund. So again, if you want to make any of those choices, whether it be making a contribution or joining our auction for the last day, because it does end tomorrow at midnight, or voting for your favorite contestant, please go to nfhopelive21.givesmart.com. Now, while you're there, you can also check out our watch page where you can see a replay of the NF Hope Concert live stream all through the month of May. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we had an amazing lineup of Broadway talent, including Tony Award winner Stephanie J. Block. She's also a 3-time Tony Award nominee, putting in a very, very special group of actors, very few of which who have been nominated 3 times for a leading role like that. We also had Lea Salonga, the Disney legend and Tony, Olivier, Drama Desk, Outer Critic Award winner, and today's guest. Betty Buckley has appeared and made her mark on stage, on screen, and everywhere in between. She is not only a Tony Award winner, she has been nominated for multiple Tonys, as well as Grammys and Olivier Awards, and so many more. She was generous enough to contribute a beautiful rendition of Frank Loesser's More I Cannot Wish You that was included on our concert on May 2nd. And you can watch during the replay if you visit our website. Now, she also sat down with me for an exclusive interview, which unfortunately had to get cut down for the event. Very generously, Betty Buckley has allowed us to show the unedited version of that interview, along with a reprise of her beautiful performance today. So please sit back, enjoy this episode, enjoy this interview and the song, and welcome to the live interviews. Hi, Betty. Thanks so much for joining us today. I've got to tell you, hi. I've had the luxury and the honor of interviewing a lot of people over the years, and having a lot on the NF Hope concert stage, and no offense to any of them, but I don't know that if I've ever been so excited to have somebody join us for the NF Hope concert, and even better for an interview. So So thank you is more than just about the cause. It's also just about my excitement as somebody who's been in musical theater for half of my life.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. It's an honor to be here and to support NF Hope, and thank you. Thanks.
So I'm going to dive right in. I mean, everything about this concert is Broadway. So I guess the most obvious question is when did you remember falling in love with Broadway?
Well, my first exposure to theater, musical theater, was when I was 11, and my mom took me to our regional theater, Casa Manana in Fort Worth, Texas, and I saw a Pajama Game with the original Bob Fosse choreography, and I just was completely smitten, when I saw the number Steam Heat with the girl and the 2 guys.
Yeah.
And I had this, I can, looking back at it, I know it was, even though I was 11, it was an epiphany where I felt this being rise up inside my head and turn back and look at me and say, that's what you're gonna be doing for the rest of your life. And I was like, "Oh, cool. What's that?" It's like, cool, whatever it is. And, my mother had been a singer dancer. My aunt had been a professional dancer and then was a dance teacher, had her own dance school, and I studied dance with her from the time I was 3, and I loved my shiny tap shoes and, the glitter for our costumes and stuff. I thought that was super fun, and, so the first number I learned when I was 11 was Steam Heat, and the 2 guys that Ed
Love it.
Holloman and Larry Howard, who were the lead dancer and the choreographer for that show, had at Casa decided they had toured, done a lot of Fosse shows and had toured for him and worked with him, and they were like acolytes of Bob Fosse, and so they opened a dance school in Fort Worth, and I came home from junior high, the 7th grade, and I told my mother that I wanted to learn Steam Heat for the junior high talent show. And she was like, "Okay, it just so happens they've opened this school. Let's see if they'll take you on as a student." And so they taught me the number and helped me recognize that my loud voice there was a place for me, like in the school choir and in the all city choir that I was in the church. I was in the junior choir at the Methodist church. They were always putting me on the back row and saying, "Blend in, Betty Lynn, blend in." And I would try very hard to blend in, but somehow or another, the ring in my voice was not easy to camouflage. And so these guys just unleashed me, and they were like, "You have what it takes, do this." And so I studied tap, ballet, jazz, and they would my mother would think of things for me to do every year in the talent shows. And but the first one I did, Steam Heat, was my idea, and then from then on, I kind of was in their hands and did a new number every year. And then by the time I was 15, I was a professional at Casa Manana. I did Dainty June was my kind of musical theater debut. So I did any number of shows at Casa Manana, and then ultimately was signed by an agent when I was a junior in college, and because someone had seen me as a guest entertainer on the Miss America pageant. So, and then I, came to New York at the behest of this wonderful agent, Roger Hess, who went on to become a big producer.
Mhm.
And he arranged an audition for me for 1776, my first day in New York, and I got the job. So it was amazing.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
an incredible story. And the good news is that you've sort of covered that history that I was so curious about that I wasn't sure we were going to have time to talk about. So I love
I
hearing.
try to condense it.
That's all right. I love hearing how people find their love of theater and how it transforms into an actual career in theater. I'm
Mhm.
fascinated by that. I should start a blog about that. But
Yeah, that's a good idea.
so you landed in 1776, and if I remember serves, I think 1776 won actually Best Musical that year, the
Oh,
Tony.
yeah, it was the big hit that year. It was amazing.
And then you went on. You did stuff off Broadway. You were in London performing Promises. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
And then you were back in New York again. Um, and then you land this role on this television show, Eight Is Enough. And I know you've done some stuff on TV before then, but this was it. And I mean, and not this was my generation. I mean, this was one of the family shows that we all watched, and we
Mhm.
knew everybody, and we certainly knew the character Abby. So, it sounds like you grew up in this theatrical world. When you landed this role, did you feel like you were, okay, now I'm jumping from stage to screen and this is where I'm going? Or did you know that
No.
you're going to come back to Broadway?
No, I really didn't think much about it. I was offered, yeah, I'd done one film, Carrie, and that was incredible to get to
Right.
work with Brian De Palma and that amazing cast. And that was a big hit movie. And then from that, I was, I got the job, Eight is Enough, because the assistant to Fred Silverman was Brandon Tartikoff, who later headed NBC. But at that moment, he worked at ABC, our network, and he kept saying the character Miss Collins is the prototype for the stepmother for the Bradford family. And so I got offered the job, and it was certainly more money than I'd ever been paid on Broadway, you know? So I kind of just took, yeah, I was like, okay, I'll take the job. And then I when I got out there and found out what it was like shooting a television show, especially for Lorimar, which was a kind of a dastardly group of guys, it wasn't, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And so I would fly back to New York every 6 weeks for my voice lesson with my brilliant teacher, Paul Gavert. And because my vision had only ever been theater. And it wasn't about being, I wanted to become a really fine actress and do a level of really intense dramatic acting in the musical theater specifically. And so, I was lucky to get to work in film and television because it allowed me to watch my work and see what was good about it and what wasn't, and how to learn to be a realistic actress and a truth-telling actress. And I continued to study with Stella Adler, taking her script analysis classes and stuff. And when I was in New York, and then when I was in LA, working on Eight is Enough also in LA. And it gave me it. I always look back at Eight is Enough as a kind of school in big business, show business. And because I learned a lot about how the business works, and that was not the easiest set of lessons. And then but it taught me to be a good actress, and I got time to practice because in doing 29 episodes a year for 4 years, and I, was it was like grad school. And
Right.
then when I got out of that, I did what I thought were my 2 master's theses, which was Cats and
Right.
Tender Mercies, the film Tender Mercies, where I played this wonderful character, Dixie Scott, opposite Robert Duvall in a Horton Foote screenplay. That year of 1981 to 82, when I made Tender Mercies in the fall of 80, well, I guess it was 81, and then we came back in 82, and we opened in Cats that October. That was a pretty great year. And then
Yeah.
Tender Mercies came out after that. And so, yeah, I was like, after that intense study period on in Eight is Enough, then to do Tender Mercies with that team of artists, and then Cats with that team of artists. Yeah, I
Right.
felt like I knew how to act after that. It was like, yeah, I know what to do. And so and that was great. It was like an intense school.
That's amazing. And so, I mean, since we're focusing this concert mostly on Broadway, I mean, Cats. First of all, you won the Tony Award, which I'm sure was exciting. But it sounds like, like it is with so many performers who reach that level, it's still just about the love of performing. It's about doing something amazing and getting the chance to bite into a good role, or in this case, an amazing song on top of a great role.
Yeah, that
So I got a
song.
question. I've always wondered, because everybody knows this song. I mean, when you first heard Memory, did you think, oh my gosh, I get to sing this song and it just has hit written all over it? Or were you so into
No,
making
it
sure the
was
character was part of what you were doing
it
that
was
you just
already
enjoyed
a
it?
hit. It was a hit because of Elaine Page, and then Barbara Streisand recorded it before we
Right.
opened it in Cats. And so basically I was like, God, I hope I sing it as well as they do, and it's like pretty terrifying, because they were both incredible, and of course, and so yeah, I was really grateful to get to represent that role in the original Broadway production. And I went through a lot learning how to sing it. And thankfully I had this phenomenal teacher, Paul Gavert, who kept me on track, and through his guidance, and then my the guidance of my other teachers, I found my way to the character right before we opened. So it was like it took some time, but it was like sliding into home base at the last conceivable moment.
So
It's like,
I mean, you,
save.
and not to mention, I mean, let's not forget that you're all playing cats on top of it. So there's the physicality of the role as well. So I mean, I'm going to jump ahead because again, I wish I had an hour to share all the details of your amazing career with everybody. But you're looking at now as sort of a body of work that is your career. Is there any particular moment that if you had a chance to sort of live again that you would?
Let me think. In what way? Like change things or just re-experience things?
I was thinking re-experience, but considering the fact that you are the consummate performer, I would imagine that any experiencing something again would involve reinventing it a little bit. But if you could choose one thing you would love to go back to.
You have to reinvent all the time because you keep changing. Life
Right.
changes us, and we change physically over time, and we change. Hopefully, we grow mentally and psychologically and emotionally, and and the physical changes are quite remarkable that one deals with as you get older. It's like interesting. It's just a whole journey. I'm not really, honestly, Jeff. My brother laughs at me when I say this. My brother Norman is a big director. He's in Atlanta now doing his second season on Sweet Magnolias, which was like one of the top 10 shows on Netflix last year and was #1 for a while. But he's a brilliant guy and a philosopher and a brilliant director. And he's my youngest brother. He's 8 years younger than me, but he thinks he's the wisest. And
That's what brothers do.
Yeah, he's always busting me. Nobody makes me laugh harder than Norman. And he's like, Betty Lynn, I always say I'm not a nostalgist. And my brother laughs at me. He says, "That's ridiculous. Of course you are." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not a nostalgist. I don't like to spend a lot of time looking back or trying to figure out things I would do differently. I mean, obviously I made some mistakes, and obviously, if I give it a chance, like one time I had dinner with James Lapine, the brilliant director, and he opened our conversation with, "If I knew then what I know now, such and such." And I was like, "Well, if I knew then what I know now, such and such," And so, but we didn't know then what we know now. And that's part of the whole thing that we go through in life. And so I honestly think I don't, the lessons I've learned in life, I try to bring forward into the present, but I don't, it's like, it's a waste of time to look back and say, I should have done, yes, I look back and think that I could have done that differently, or I should have done that differently. But what can you do? It's like, why waste time with that? Just like take those lessons and bring them into the present. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
I completely understand. It's enjoying the journey instead of the destination.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, all right. So then let's flip it on the other side and say, if you're looking forward at what, your career ahead of you, is there something that you'd like to achieve that you haven't already?
Yes, I'm so excited. I wrote a story when I was in New York for my engagement at the Carlisle. Our second week there was the Cafe Carlisle at the Carlisle Hotel. The second week of our engagement was canceled because of the pandemic. And I had written this story that I was trying to get my collaborator, Christian Jacob, my brilliant pianist who is playing for us for this concert. He did the arrangement of my song, More I Cannot Wish You. He's a brilliant guy, but I was like, you have to write this. And he just didn't get it. Right. So when the pandemic was raging on and we got home in April, I started calling him again, and then he still wasn't. And I was like, May, I got really fierce. I was like, Christian, you have to write this. And I want you, and it's not a song. I want you to score it like a story, like a film. And cause he's scored several films for Clint Eastwood. He's a brilliant guy, my Christian, my friend. And so he made some attempts, and then finally he came up with this beautiful motif, and he wrote this beautiful piece of music for my story. And I was so delighted by it. And so he recorded his part in LA in his house, and the bass player Trey Henry recorded his part in his house, and I went into a funky studio in Fort Worth and recorded my part, and our percussionist Jamie Haddad recorded his part in a little studio in Cleveland. And then we sent all of our tracks to our brilliant engineer Jason Wormer in Virginia, and we came up with this beautiful track with this story that I
Amazing.
wrote. And I'm so excited about it. So once I heard the track, I was like, oh, I see. This is an animated short film. So since last July, I've been reaching out to everybody who knew anybody, connections in the animation business. And finally in December, I guess, approximately December, I met some artists who really, well, everyone has responded well to it, but these artists really wanted to do it. And so I have a brilliant animation director, co-producer. My assistant, Kathy, was like, call these people in Austin. They gave me the money, which is ridiculous. I'm like so excited. And so I'm producing this animated short film, and our animating house, our studio is in Poland. And so like we're calling these people in Warsaw on Zoom. It's so exciting. I'm
Wow.
so excited about it. It's really good. And it's going to be really beautiful. And we should be done with it at the end of October. So
Okay,
now
so when do we get to see it?
hopefully right after that. So now
Okay.
I'm like really I want to do other stories and see where they go, and so it's fun.
That's amazing. All right, so you have to let us know so that we can share and have everybody
Okay.
come and watch it, and I will be the first in line. Funny enough, that's one of the things that I've done in the last year is I had a piece of music that I wrote, and I had always imagined an animated short. And so I've been working with some artists to help make it real. It's an amazing process, and it's I can't
so
wait
much
to see
fun, isn't it? It's so
Absolutely.
creative, and these artists are very interesting people. They're very, very like so yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm really enjoying that, and I'm teaching 3 times a week on Zoom. I have been since last spring, and we put together a virtual concert also for the Actors Fund, for Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, and the Terry Schreiber School. So we may be doing another one of those. So I don't know. Yeah, I've been doing some fun stuff during the pandemic. Things that have just occurred to me to do, and I made a video with my musicians and with a great film director named Matt Amato, and a beautiful school, SAE school in Southern California, with their kids choir for the Biden campaign, and it's been I've had a good time producing some stuff, so.
That's great. That's great. Well, like I said, I wish we could talk for an hour or more. Maybe the next time I'm in Texas, and there may be a Region 4 that coming up soon, I'll get the opportunity. But thank you for being here today. And you mentioned your piece that was arranged by your amazing accompanist and pianist, Christian Jacob. This is your piece, More I Cannot Wish You. And thank you again. You have a beautiful day, and God bless you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks so much.
Okay.
God bless you.
All right.
Velvet, I can wish you for the collar of your coat, and fortune smiling all along your way. But more I cannot wish you than to wish you find your love, your own true love this day. Mansions I can wish you, 7 footmen all in red, and calling cards upon a silver tray. But more I cannot wish you than to wish you find your love, your own true love this day. Standing there, gazing at you, full of the bloom of youth. Standing there, gazing at you with a sheep's eye, and the licorice tooth. Music, I can wish you merry music while you're young, and wisdom when your hair is turned to gray. But more I cannot wish you than to wish you find your love, your own true love this day. With a sheep's eye and the licorice tooth and the strong eye